the introduction in day 1. I just asked you how to download and all everything. Right. Now in day 2, what we'll be doing is that we will be looking at the concepts of object-oriented programming language. Okay, the concept is known as OOPS. Many of you might have heard about OOPS, which is object-oriented programming. Fine. But the thing is, you need to know it practically. You need to know it how things work, what objects are. Right. These days, every programming language is object-oriented. Okay, so you need to learn the concepts practically, the concepts like interfaces, which we are going to see tomorrow. Okay, and other concepts like inheritance or creation of objects, what objects are, what is static, what is non-static, right? So let's see that. Fine, I'll create a new Java project, day 2. In day 1, I told you how you can download and configure Selenium. Right. So, hold on. Just a minute. Okay, I'm really sorry guys, a lot of people they tried to join the trial classes, so yeah. So now what I'll do is that I'll create a new class over here, a new Java file, okay, and I'll just call it anything. For example, a Java file like mobile. Okay, now what is the speciality of a mobile? What are the features of a mobile? Okay, for example, string the name of the mobile, string the cost of mobile, right? You can put any feature inside it, right? So a class mobile is having these two features. Okay, now I'm going to create one more class known as sample, and in this class I'll keep the main function. Okay, in this class I'll keep the main function. Right. So what you will do in the sample class is that you will create the object of mobile class like this. New mobile. This is known as object creation. New mobile. Now what do you mean by object creation? What happens in the memory? Okay, what happens behind the scenes when you create the object like this? Okay, right. So practically what happens is that in the memory the object is created, and in that object both the parameters name and price they go through. Okay, right. In that both the parameters name and price they go through, right? And but you cannot access this object. All right, you cannot access this object because the reason being you need an object reference. You need a pointer for that object in order to access the properties of that object. Right. What I mean to say is that the syntax is generally like this, that mobile m equals to new mobile. So what m is, right? M is a pointer which points towards the object, and with m you can access the properties of the object. You can write over here m dot name is, say, Samsung. Okay, m dot price or m dot cost is 100. Okay, I can make cost an integer. Alright, fine. Similarly, I can call this M1. I can create another object, M2. For M2, I can have different parameters. And M2 dot cost is, and M3 I can again create. Okay, and I can write M3 dot name is C. Just putting random names. So the parameters are same. Okay, the parameters are same in the class. In mobile class, only two parameters are there. But by creating different objects of these parameters, okay, what we can do is that we can actually give them different values. Alright, so name and cost will be different for every object. So in the memory, what will happen is that you will have three objects. Okay, the first one is M1, second is M2, third is M3. So the name for this will be Samsung, the name for this would be B, and this would be A. Right? Okay. Now, what if I write M3 equals to M2? Alright. M3 equals to M2. So what will happen is that in the memory, the objects are they don't move, but the references can move. So I move the M2 reference to the I move the M3 reference. Hold on. Yeah, I move the M3 reference to place where M2 is pointing. So M3 will no longer point towards the A. It will start pointing out here. So one object can have multiple references as well. Okay, the objects are still in the memory, but the references can move from one location to another location. Alright, fine. Now, what is the advantage of this? We'll see that later on. Okay, now out here, if I write after this, before this, if I write M1 dot name, M2 dot name, M3 dot name. Now we make M3 point towards M2 and then again print this. Okay, and then run this program. See the difference. It's print Samsung BC, but over here it is printing Samsung BB. Because M2 and M3 point towards the same object. M3 is pointing towards where M2 is pointing. Now if I write over here M3 dot name is Z, and if I run this, okay, now any idea what will this print, guys? What will this print? You can communicate with me over the chat or on Skype as well. For both of them it will print Z. Yes, it will print Samsung ZZ because M3 has changed. M3 has actually this should be M3 out here. Sorry. M3 has changed the state of the object. For any reference can change the state of the object, and the other reference will get the new state out. Okay. Now similarly in Selenium also we have got you can say in Selenium we have got pre-built classes, and we need to create the objects of those pre-built classes. Alright. In the class you can have functions as well. You have these variables, you can also have a function. For example, public void call. Call is a function. Inside it I can write over here calling from mobile the name of the mobile. So this function will also be present in each and every object. If I write over here m1 dot, I'll get the option call, m2 dot call, m3 dot call. Okay, right. So when m1 calls it, okay, when m1 calls the call function, alright, so it will actually print the name for m1 because it's present in that object, right? Alright, when m2 calls, it will print the name for m2 and similarly m3. So when you run this, it prints, say, calling from Samsung, calling from Z, calling from Z. Alright, fine. So I hope you are able to understand this, right? If you're not able to understand this, please let me know. I'll repeat, right? But it's pretty simple. Okay. Now I will add the jar files of Selenium into the current project the way I did yesterday. Okay. And we'll continue. And one more thing, guys, which I want to tell you, I gave you the link for yesterday's recording, right? If you look at this, then hold on. I'll give you again on WebEx. This is the URL for yesterday's recording. I just gave you on WebEx. Alright. Now, out here, I'll create one more class known as Selenium Basics. Now, in Selenium, everything is inbuilt. Okay, you don't need to worry about anything. You just go to the website seleniumhq.org, right, and go to the download section out here and go to the documentation, which is Java doc for Selenium. Go here. Okay. Now these are all the classes, the pre-built classes inside Selenium API. It's huge, it's vast. I don't remember everything. I refer the API everything. I don't try to memorize it. Similarly, you don't have to memorize it. Few classes you should be knowing. Okay, but it's not necessary to know everything. Okay. Now there is a class, for example, known as Firefox driver. Okay, so it works on Firefox. I'll just give you an overview. Hold on. These are the major classes. These ones. Chrome driver, as the name suggests, it works on Chrome. Event firing WebDriver. This class helps you to fire you know, special gestures like mouse movement. Okay, so the events which you generally fire. Okay, this class helps you do that. Firefox driver, it helps you for Firefox. HTML unit driver, we'll see this. This is a very good driver. It can help you automate an application without opening a browser. Okay, we'll see that. Don't get confused. I'm just giving you an overview that these are the drivers available. All right. Then Internet Explorer driver. It helps you to test on IE. Right. This is a new driver. I'll not talk about it right now. You'll not be able to understand. Okay. Opera driver is also there, but it's not very stable. It's not stable. A lot of bugs are there inside it. Hardly works. Remote WebDriver. This driver is used in Selenium GRID. Okay. And to run the test cases parallelly, right? This driver is used. All right. And also when you have to test your mobile applications and all, this driver is again used. But mobile applications cannot be tested with Selenium. There is another tool known as Appium. Appium is a tool which is built on top of Selenium. Okay. We use this driver over there. So these are the different driver classes available inside Selenium. Safari driver, as name suggests, helps you to work on Safari. But again, it's unstable. There are few bugs in it. All right. So these are the various drivers. I just gave you an overview. We'll be studying them in the course. All right. Now, since I have included the Selenium jar files under reference libraries, okay, my project is Selenium enabled. Right. So if I create the object of Firefox driver, okay, you need to import it. You get the option of importing like this. Move your mouse over the error and you'll get the option to import. Right. And if you run it, make sure you are not running on the latest version of Firefox. Sometimes it's not supported and it gives you trouble. Move back 3 to 4 versions. Okay, you'll be able to run it. So when I run this, yesterday actually I was not able to run it because Firefox got updated. You should turn off the automatic updates, but still after turning off the automatic updates in Firefox, it fails to work at times. I think my Firefox has again upgraded. Hold on. Yes, it's upgraded itself. Okay. So this is, I'm just degrading my Firefox. Hold on. Hold on. Uh, okay. The question being asked is that why latest version of Firefox is not working with Selenium? Well, the latest version of Firefox is not working with Selenium because suppose if we Selenium guys they release the version X, and after releasing the version, Firefox gets updated. Okay, after releasing the version Firefox gets updated, right? So they don't support it. Okay, they don't support it, so that's the problem. So you'll have to wait for another week or so for the next version to come up. Right. So there is another question being asked by Swaroop that just a query, what if project demands to automate the current version? Well, in that case, Swaroop, um, you have to wait for the next version to come up, right? Right? You have to actually wait. Look, it's there in every automation tool. Even QTP, they also have restricted, you can say, versions. They define that fine in QTP or in UFT, these all versions will work. Okay, in every automation tool it's there. Nobody is a perfect thing, right? So you have to be sure. Look, moreover, you should understand the concept of automation. The concept of automation is functional testing. Okay, why is automation used in a project? Why is automation used in the industry? How did the concept came up? Right. Automation started way back in 2003, 4, 5. The concept started because this the projects which people used to make, in layman terms, I can say they used to get stable. For example, you make a website today. Okay, today it will have lot of bugs. You will manually test the website, find 100 bugs. Then the number of bugs keep on reducing over a period of 1 or 2 months, and the application becomes stable. But still, as a tester, you are required to test it every day or every fortnight unnecessarily, right? Even if some very small change has gone, you know that there will be no bug, but you will unnecessarily test everything, right? So to avoid those kind of things, right, you do automation. You take the automation tool, right? Automation tool is used only when the project is stable enough. Okay, so it doesn't matter you use X version or X minus 2 version, right? The functional testing, the functionality of the application should work properly. You don't check colors, you don't check all those things with Selenium or QTP with all those functional tools. Those are not meant to do that. Okay, for a stable application, I'm assuming that the automation, for a stable application, I'm assuming that the layout of the page will not change. I'm assuming that the colors and the spellings will be correct, the fonts will be correct. So I just test it functionally. I'll do it in the regression phase. This is what the concept of automation was. But these days it's changed. People have started using it in Agile. People have started using it during the phase when the project is building, right? But additional costs are associated with it because when the project is building, when the project is unstable, it changes a lot, and then you have to change your script. When you are changing your script, you are giving in time, and when you are giving in time, the cost for the project increases. Okay, so there are various factors. Some companies, they don't prefer to use it these days, automation during the development phase. Even I don't prefer, because the applications are so unstable, it doesn't make sense to automate them. But some companies, they do. Okay, but the major concept or major thing where automation evolved was that it should be used in the regression phase. All right. So anyways, let's come back. All right, I'll run this now. Hold on. And you see that Firefox gets launched. So I just create the object of Firefox driver and the Firefox is launching. Right. One more thing, in your Firefox, go to Tools, Options. All right. Go to Advanced and go to Network. So sorry, go to Update, not Network. Go to Update and select Never check for updates. Don't let your Firefox upgrade. All right. Now similarly, I told you for Chrome, okay, you have Chrome driver. If I write over here new Chrome driver, I'll get an error. You move the mouse over the error and import the Chrome driver, and when you run this, it will give you an error. It will not run directly. Don't expect Chrome to open up, right? Many of you will get an error. In my case, it is opening up because I have done some system settings, okay, but in your case, it will give you an error to most of the people. All right, fine. How to correct that error, I'll tell you. Give me some time. All right. Now, in case of Firefox driver, if I give the object reference as well, I write Firefox driver F1 equals to new Firefox driver. Okay. Then if I write f1 dot, there are so many functions which are available to you. These are operations you can carry out on Firefox, right? For example, close will close it, obviously, as the name suggests. There is a function known as get. In this you mention the URL http yahoo.com. It will take you to Yahoo. Okay, but there is one thing, guys. Always mention the protocol. If you don't mention the protocol, you will get an error. A lot of people do this mistake. You need to mention the protocol. Okay, so you run this again, and now you will see that. See, it's going to yahoo.com, right? So everything is inbuilt. It's not a rocket science where you have to build up everything, right? All the classes, all the functions, everything is inbuilt. As a tester, you need to actually just learn what the drivers are, what are the functions in the drivers, how to read the documentation after understanding the concept of object-oriented programming. This is all you need, nothing else, right? Now coming over to Chrome driver, most of you will get an error when you create the object of Chrome driver and run it. Okay, in my case I'm not getting because I've done some settings. Look, for Chrome driver, you again go to the website, seleniumhq.org, go over here. Okay, go to the download link, and you will have a section third-party browser drivers not developed by Selenium HQ. Over here you will get Chrome. Alright, click on it. And you will have the latest release, Chrome driver, all versions are over here. You click here. Just a minute. Go here. All versions are available in downloads. Okay, go here, and out here you'll have this link, previous releases and all. Okay, or yeah, you can directly click over here. Just a minute. Basically, you need to go to this URL. I'll give you the URL on WebEx chat. You can keep the URL, and over here you will have Chrome driver for Windows, for Mac. Okay, for Windows you can download it from here. It doesn't matter whether you have 64-bit Windows or 32-bit. You download this. Okay, you download this. Right now, after downloading, you need to include it. Okay, how to include it? I'll tell you. Give me 2 minutes. I need to come back to the concepts of object-oriented programming in Java now, before I tell you about Chrome driver. Right. So I told you that in a class you can have variables, you can have functions, and with the objects you can actually call the variables and the functions. Okay, right. Now technically this is known as a non-static global variable. Okay, this is also a I'm coming over to the concept of static and non-static. Okay, this is also a non-static function. Why am I calling this global variable? Because it is outside the function. If there are many functions in this class, for example, another function like recharge. Okay, so these variables are outside the functions. These are global variables. Okay, these two are non-static functions. All right. Now, what is static? For example, when you create the main function, you write the keyword static over here. What do you mean by this static? Okay, right. No, by default they are not public. By default they are not public. Okay. Now, what is static? All right. Well, suppose I have a variable. Okay, int number of batteries. Okay, right. So if I write over here in sample.java, I create the objects and I write m1 dot number of batteries is 1. Similarly, m2 dot number of batteries are also 1. m3 dot number, all the mobiles have got one battery. We know that all the mobile phones will just have one battery. So I'll have to necessarily equate this variable to 1 for all the objects. Although the value for all the objects is same, right? So it doesn't make sense. Okay, these are all the objects in the memory. Okay, these are all the objects, right? Number of batteries, this variable will be there in every object. Okay, right. So it doesn't make sense, right? So what we do is that we make this static. By calling it static, what happens is that we have got multiple objects. Okay, and this variable number of batteries resides not in the object but somewhere else in the memory. Okay, and all the objects access it from here. It is common for all the objects. Okay, it is common for all the objects. While declaring the variable itself, if I call it equals to 1, then every object which will be created, it will have number of batteries as 1 by default. Or right, what you can do is that I'll comment this. We never do it with the object reference. Okay, we never initialize the static variable with the object reference. You can take the name of the class mobile dot. You will get the static variables and functions out here. Mobile dot number of batteries equals to 1. So for all the objects you will have number of batteries 1. So static variables, please note, static variables and functions can be called without creating the object of the class. Okay, right? Static variables and functions can be called without creating the object of the class. All right, fine. So okay, so I hope you got my point. Right, now moving ahead, I just told you that the main function is static. Why is the main function static? It is static because, you know, when Java compiler or Java interpreter, it has to execute the main function. Inside Java, it will just call it like this, something like this. Selenium basics dot main, run this. It will not have to create the object of Selenium Basics class. Okay, it will just call Selenium Basics dot main. I hope you are able to get it. Right? Anyone? Any questions? Right. So static is something. Okay, static is something which can be, I'll repeat. Okay, static is something which can be created without, which can be accessed without the object reference. Okay, you can take the name of the class and access the static property. Okay, you can take the name of the class and access the static property. Alright. So, okay, the question is being asked is, can class be also static? Yes, it can be static, but we don't use it in Selenium. Okay, right. How can we decide whether a variable function should be static or non-static? Look, that's what I told you. If something which is common for all the objects, you can make it static. Okay. In Selenium, you will not have the need to do that, but you should be knowing the concept because it can be asked in the interviews. Okay. Why is the main method static? Look, whatever is static, it can be called directly with the class without creating the object. You don't need to create the object to access static variables. So when the main function has to be called, Java directly calls it with the name of the class, Selenium Basics dot main. Execute it. Okay. No, you don't have to call it. You'll run the program simply. You don't have to call it. Right. Now, for Chrome driver, as I told you, you need to download the exe file. In my PC, it's lying over here. Yeah, Chrome driver. Okay, I've kept it over here. So what you need to do is that you need to write this line system dot set property WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. Okay, and give it the value of the path where you have kept Chrome driver dot exe. Okay, right. Now what is system? System is an inbuilt class in Java. Alright, set property is a static function inside it.
I think double slash is it?
Alright. Yeah, I'll just tell you. Okay, I'll give you on Skype. Alright. So system is a class and set property is a function inside that class. It's a static function. Alright. So system dot set property when you call the static function, okay, you can call it directly with the name of the class. Alright. So now when you will run it in your PC, it will work. You have to set this Chrome driver exe path. Don't run the exe, you will not get anything. It's built like this. Chrome driver requires this exe to be set in the system path. Okay. No, if you are giving this backslash, it's okay. But in Java, if you give the front slash like this, you'll have to give double slash. Okay. So if you give a backslash, it's okay. Single one will work. All right. Fine. So this is about Chrome driver. Okay, so you can get the object reference of Chrome driver as well. Okay, and you can call Chrome driver dot go to the website bbc.com. Right. So get function will take Chrome driver to bbc when you run this. It sets the system property. Okay. Right. Now Internet Explorer driver. You use this as the name suggests. You use this for working on IE. Okay. Right. You create the object of it and you write I.get to a website http cnn.com. Okay. When you run this, it's running and it will go. For most of you, it will throw an error again. Okay. For most of you, it will throw an error. All right. And hold on. The error to overcome that error, you again need to set system property. Okay. You need to go to the website seleniumhq.org. Right. Go to the download section and you will have Madhvi, I have set some special properties in my system. I'll tell you later on. Okay. For you guys, it will throw you an error. Okay. The Internet Explorer driver server. You see this? You can download it for 32-bit I or 64-bit I depending on your PC. Alright. I've kept this in my PC out here in F drive iDriver server. Okay. For I also there is an exe file. You need to write system.set property webdriver.i.driver and give the path of this iDriver server. .exe. Don't forget to write .exe. Right? Okay. Now when you run this, it will work for you in your system. Still if it doesn't, because I at times gives issues, right? Still if it gives issues to you, hold on. You right now, just a minute. Just a minute. I am using I11. Okay, I11 is supported. Alright. Now at times what happens is that, people are not able to work on IE. There are few issues. Firstly, you should make sure that the zoom level in IE is set to 100%. At times people don't have the zoom level set to 100% and it gives issues. Alright. The second thing which you need to know is that if you go to tools internet options, okay, and out here you go to security, right? There are 4 things under security. Okay, for all the 4 sections, this, you see this leveler, this leveler should be at the same location. Okay, so this is what it means. Okay, this is what you need to do if it's not working. Alright, fine. So this is how you work with IE. Now once you have opened the browsers, right? You need to move ahead, do the testing, and a lot of other things are there. It's not just about opening the browsers, but I was just talking about the various drivers, right? And uh, hold on. Okay, we can. Okay, and okay, I did not cover the constructors today. I will cover them tomorrow. Okay, there is one more driver known as HTML unit driver. As I was talking earlier, if I create the object of HTML unit driver, okay, and if I write h dot go to the website, anyone say http bbc.com. After going to the website, print the title of the site. To print the title, the command is get title. Alright, so when you run this, you will actually not see the browser opening. It does the testing in a silent mode. It sends the request to the, you see that? It prints the title. It sends the request to the website, gets the response, sends the request, gets the response. It is, like, for example, you want to test in your Unix box. In a Unix box, there is um, no UI. You cannot just install Firefox or IE over there. Okay, so you use HTML unit driver over there. It's a very important concept. Okay, it will not open the browser, and it's actually very fast. Since it hasn't got an overhead of working with the browser, it's actually very fast as well. Alright, so fine. Now the next thing is the concept of constructors. Okay, well, constructors, interfaces, and all those stuff. Okay, I'll not take the constructors today because again, it's actually to be used somewhere in Firefox profiling and all, which I'll be covering later on, launching Firefox profile. I'll talk about it. Right, I'm keeping this in red right now. Hold on. Right. So next thing is talking about constructors and interfaces. Interface is very important concept in object-oriented programming. What interfaces are, right? Because everything depends on interfaces. Everything. Okay. You will not understand what I am trying to tell you in tomorrow's class. You will understand. All right.